Hey everybody, this is your PSE head coach for breathing, Rob Wilson, and I just want to address a pretty common question that we get, and that's when is it appropriate to mouth breathe? And the most honest answer I can give to that is that it really depends, and there's two main purposes overall why we would want to use our mouth instead of our nose. And again, this is quite variable, but either we want to get a higher volume of air into the lungs, or we want to get a higher volume of waste out of the lungs. And that's basically what we're looking at, is that because your mouth offers less resistance because it's a bigger hole in your face, you can get higher volume in faster. Now, if we continue to mouth breathe and we hyperventilate, then what we know is that it reduces our capacity to tolerate carbon dioxide in the system, which is a less efficient way to create capacity. So when we're using our mouth breathing in specific scenarios, when it's really good is if our level of output is really high, or if we're trying to recover in between bouts of high intensity efforts. And those might just be short little breaths. And again, this is all depends on what is your maximal capacity in the context of using this, but then also what is my goal in the training session. And so if I'm using mouth breathing inside of a training session, it may be when it's really, really high intensity, and it might just be for a short burst. And so here's an example, because this can get kind of confusing. Let's say I'm doing a high power interval on the bike, or I'm doing some plyometrics, and my heart rate goes up really, really fast because I'm using a lot of energy all at once. And then I have maybe a 2 or 3 minute break before I'm required to have this high intensity output again. Well, I might use my mouth or as a way to buffer my carbon dioxide levels and get my heart rate to come down. Now, the higher your baseline aerobic capacity and the more you can control that system, then the fewer breaths using your mouth will be required. Because what happens over time is you become very, very capable of using your nose to get rid of CO2 and to take in high volume. So you can also get a lot of air out. It just depends on how quickly you need to recover and how hard were you working in the continuum of how hard it's possible for you to work. So whatever your top end capacity is, the closer you get to that, the more frequently you're probably going to have to use your mouth. And this is, of course, in the context of training. Now, if you're in the context of competition and you need to get your heart rate down again really, really quickly because you have to go to work again and your goal is to win, then you use it as much as you need to until you feel recovered, and then get back to slowing your breathing down. Now, that's in the context of maximizing output, whether it's in training or in recovery. On the other hand, if we're trying to use strategies to develop capacity, then we want to stay away from mouth breathing as much as possible. But otherwise, mouth breathing helps us recover faster because we can get a higher volume of air into the system or a higher volume of waste out of the system. I hope that helps, and keep the questions coming. Thanks.